is an amazing production with beautiful art, beautiful cards, beautiful components, and a theme that I was very excited about, where you go out all over the world on your expeditions to find plants and bring them back to your estate in England. Let's take a look. In this game, players are going to get a pawn that will start in the estate here. Everyone lives in England. And then down here, you're going to keep track of your reputation. Each player is also going to have an estate board here, which has your garden, which are where you're going to put your specimens for endgame scoring, press specimens, and live specimens. And then players are also going to start with a Wardian case and a botanical press. And finally, players are going to get a special character. That is definitely not, anyway, it doesn't matter. That will give you a special ability. And you will start with a couple of these cards. Like, for example, look, I drew a tiger. So on your turn, players will start with 10 coins. And this is important because at the beginning of your turn, you need to pay a coin for your travel costs as you travel. So if you don't have enough money, you're going to lose points and you're forced to go back to England. So you got to keep track of that. So you get to move some spaces. And as you move spaces, at the beginning of the game, you'll have drawn some specimen cards. So here, for example, I have this Crown of Thorns, the Red Columbine, Darwin's Orchid, Cardinal Flower. Beautiful artwork, really good quality cards here. And these are worth various points. This requires me to go to Rupert's Land. This requires me to go to Madagascar, Quebec, and Madagascar. So Madagascar, I got 2 of those, so I'm going to head that direction. When I get to Madagascar, I'm going to be able to put these in my Wardian case, these flowers. Well, they'll be worth points at the end of the game. Although I do notice that this one is -4. And while it's in my Wardian case, I move 1 less space per turn. So that's not so great. But I can, instead of putting them in my Wardian case, which, by the way, can only hold so many specimens. You can buy more when you go back to the estate. So I can put them in the botanical press, and I can have as many cards in there as I want. I'm just pressing the flowers. Well, they'll be worth 1 point at the end of the game. So you're like, why would you ever take back a -1? Well, you might want to take it back and stick it in somebody else's. You can pay a coin to stick it in someone else's thing if you want to. So you'll draw more and then head back to England where you'll drop them off. At the end of your turn, you're getting income every round. So, for example, at the beginning of the game, you get 1 coin every turn. It doesn't come to you, though. It goes into your estate income, and you don't get it till you go back to England. Once your reputation gets to 4, you get 2 coins every turn. Once you get to 9, you get 3 coins every turn. Once you get to 12, the game is going to be over. Now, that's part of the game. Also, at the beginning of your game, and this is kind of a really weird rule, you may draw an event card. You don't have to draw an event card. But if you get any specimens on your turn and you haven't drawn one at the beginning of your turn, you draw one then. Very strange rule. But when you draw an event card, sometimes they affect everybody. Like this one here, everyone has to take on an apprentice plant hunter. But sometimes they affect just one person. Like here, snowblind. After a week of climbing a snow-capped peak, you return to your base camp, discover you've gone completely snowblind in your left eye. You will then roll a single die. If you roll 1 to 3, you will lose reputation. Or, if you roll 4 to 6, you will gain 1 reputation. Now, this says charm/land, and you can see that some characters will give, this guy gives 1 to prowess rolls. So he would be pretty pathetic in that one. So let's see if I can find someone. Amelia, though, is +1 to charm rolls. So you're going to be dealing with these as you go on. You're also going to be able to go and buy cards while you're out. So the cards that are up here, once you have coins, and these will help you sometimes, like that stowaway. You can pay a coin to add +3 to a cleverness roll, or the rope just gives you +2 to agility rolls. So those cards will be able to be purchased, and when you go back to the estate, you will have other cards that you can buy. You can buy more of the Wardian cases, and you can buy other things that will give you reputation. Like I could buy this conservatory here, which costs 8 coins, but if I have 5+ live specimens in my estate, I can buy it, and then I'll get 2 reputation. And by buying this and the orangey, those are ways to move up your reputation. And you can even buy the poisonous path, which turns -point live specimens in your estate. Now they're positive, although that costs you 10. There's also some endgame scoring cards that will be given to people who have accomplished them, and that will happen after someone gets to 12 down here under reputation. So to recap, you draw an event card, unless you don't want to, then you move, you can drop off. If you move into the spots with specimens, you collect them, take them back to England, get money. Whoever has most points at the end of the game is the winner. Once again, other than the weird mishmash of these beautiful drawings of flowers and then some just kind of public domain Victorian art. I think it's public domain, but it looks public domain. That's a weird mishmash. But other than that, looks great. I like the look. The funny hoo-ha stories that are on all the event cards are fine. So there's that. That's good. And also, this box holds everything well, and I think there's like several expansions you can put in here, including one expansion that I played with that I'd never recommend that had even more take that to the game. So I like this game. I like how it looks. Anyway, I don't like the game. There's some weird rules to the game. So there's that weird event card rule, which I get it. If you're not going to pick up any flowers, you might not want to draw an event this turn, because events can be negative or positive, but they're so random, which we'll get back to. But it's just a weird rule to have. Like, you can draw at the beginning of the turn, but if not, then go pick up your specimen and then draw one. And sometimes, it's almost never good to take one at the beginning of your turn. So why not just always have, whenever you pick up a flower, you draw an event card? Because some of the event cards are like, you move one less space this turn. Well, then if I take it at the beginning of my turn, I might not be able to get that specimen. But if I've already picked up the specimen, I don't care. It's such a weird thing. And then coupled with what I already said earlier, they're wildly, wildly random. Especially when some of them affect that reputation track. Sometimes they'll be like, you do that, something bad will happen to you. If I move up the reputation track, let's say I get 2 event cards and I move up the event track twice, I am getting that dual income, and that is huge. But that's not the only random factor in the game. You're getting these flowers that are all over the world. Now, you can replenish your hand when you go back to England, but that takes a turn. If I get a bunch that are right there in Europe, I'm like, yeah, why not? Go bop, 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 drop them off, come back, and I'm ahead of you, and you're like, well, all mine are in Japan, and that's much farther. I can't even get there. So I'm going to have to discard these and get new ones, or make this long trudge over to Japan while you've gotten points ahead of me. This game has runaway leaders, and these cards, it's just so much randomness in there. And then there's take that. I got a poisonous flower. Now you do. Thanks. It looks like a modern classic game. I really thought that's what it was. And even reading the rules, I didn't kind of catch all this. But when I played it, I'm like, it looks like a modern, interesting game. And it plays like a very light, take that random pile of just not very good mechanisms. And that was really disappointing to me. I was really disappointed by this because I thought this would be really fun and interesting, and it's not. So I'm giving this one also a 4 out of 10.